Good evening, guys. Thank you so much for coming to the December 12th, 2023 business meeting. It's a special night. I know you guys are all here for Mr. Fronterio's business presentation tonight, his budget presentation, so we appreciate it. No, but in all seriousness, we do have a great performance by orchestra, and as you can see here, sitting in front of me, and also here we have an outstanding bunch of students here who went out and won the Long Island Championship back-to-back times and brought home the Rutgers Cup. So we do want to congratulate Coach Afonte, Mr. Mullins, and the entire school community, and thank you guys so much for bringing that home to Bayport Blue Point. We truly appreciate it. So thank you guys so much. But before we start the meeting, can we all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, so first what we're going to do is we have Mr. Johnson here with his chamber orchestra, who's going to play a few holiday songs for us. So if we can just give them a big welcome, please. we could just give our chamber orchestra, Mr. Johnson, one more round of applause. Obviously, it is concert season, so they are out almost every night as well. So we really do appreciate them coming here tonight for us. So again, thank you to them. So and before I hand this over to Mr. Mullins, I would just like to congratulate Coach Safante, Mr. Mullins, and basically all of our student athletes over here. From the players through the cheerleaders to the community. It is one of the things that you truly enjoy because it brings everybody together. And we often talk about it. I mean, what you guys have, or what the team has accomplished, it's pretty amazing. If you think about it, right, we talk about it, no one really probably wants to talk about it, is, 3 years ago, it was a minute away from something. And then really people make decisions at those times. And I even talked about this last year. It's either, oh, okay, all's well, feel sorry for us, or basically get back to work. And what you guys did was get back to work. The students from last year, the student athletes, and everybody rallied around you and then done it again. Once is pretty amazing or pretty impressive, but two is amazing. And that is something that nobody can ever take away from you guys. It's something that we will cherish here from a community standpoint for a long period of time, as should you, as you move on. And what I hope more than anything is you remember what it took to get to where you are, and you apply that to every part of your life. That is one of the things you take away. Watching you guys in the weight room, I said it even one of my quotes earlier, the cheerleaders coming out in all kinds of weather, you guys working out, you guys staying late nights, you guys doing films. It's all about work and determination and perseverance. And that is something that I hope you remember and you apply it to your schooling or your next job or whatever you may do when you leave here. Remember those things, and I can guarantee that you will be successful. There is no doubt about it. So saying that, I just really want to congratulate you. It's been a lot of fun watching you. With saying that, I'm going to turn this over to Mr. Mullins, but I will say just enjoy the moment because it is a very special one. So enjoy it.
Thank you, Dr. Horning. Before I call up Coach Safante, I'd be remiss if we didn't publicly thank Coach Guidy and all the cheerleaders for all their support and hard work during the season. It was their passion. It was their passion and energy that helped galvanize our crowd and community and helped play an integral role in the success of this year's football team. I'd like to call the cheerleaders up to get their well-deserved recognition. Girls, come on up.
Parents, if you want to come up, take a picture. You don't have to, you can definitely come up. Please do not hesitate.
Great, thank you so much. I would now like to call up Coach Safante to speak on behalf of our historic Rutgers Trophy winning football team. Before I pass the mic off to Coach Safante, I'd like to congratulate him on being named Suffolk County Coach of the Year. This is an honor he truly deserves. This award is extremely prestigious in that it's voted upon by his peers, so the meaning behind it runs deep. His work ethic, his vision, his ability to lead, and the time he puts forth is second to none. The culture he has created here has been the impetus of the program's success. Ladies and gentlemen, Coach Mike Safante.
Thanks, Tim. I truly appreciate those words. I also would like to thank the cheerleaders. Coming out to the home field, having that tunnel that you make, it adds something special to every moment. And I don't think I've ever said that to any of you before, but I really do appreciate everything you do. To have a group like that to support us is just, it's pretty cool. So first, I'd like to thank Dr. Harney, Board of Education, the entire cabinet for inviting us tonight to be recognized. And it's special. It really is, and I truly appreciate it. I have to thank Mr. Mullins for being a true leader and supporter of our program over the years. He has been steadfast in his dedication to us. Can't thank him enough. And really, I thank all the administration for their support and attendance. Every time I go to a game and I look down the sideline, I'm seeing Dr. Harney, I'm seeing Mr. Haas, Mr. Mullins, and some alumni even, and it's pretty cool. It adds to it. I don't share this with a lot of people. I get choked up before games, not after games. I know it's a little weird, but I do. So it's kind of funny, right? So we were here last year, being honored. It's a little bit bananas that we were here this year. Last year we made history. That's what we talked about. First, Long Island Championship football team. In Bayport's history, we were 11-0. What else more is there to do? Before I left that meeting, I don't know if anyone remembers, Mr. Haas did, because I asked him before tonight. I said we would be back, and I meant it. I knew this team was going to come back. I knew we had leaders that were going to step up. And, last year, what else could we do? Well, all right, we made history again. We won another Long Island championship. This team went 12-0 this year. Last year they were 11-0, and we won the Rutgers Trophy. So if you don't know what the Rutgers Trophy is, it's the trophy up there right now. Basically, every coach in the county at the all-county dinner casts a vote for who they think the best team in Suffolk County is. And this year we won that vote, and it's pretty special. It's pretty rare too. It's been around since I think 1947, somewhere in the 1940s, and Bayport has never won it before, ever. We've come close. We've got, I think, second place a few times, but we've never won it. So to win that is a pretty big deal for these guys. It's pretty cool. It's not easy to do. So what about this year? So, we beat Seaford this year, Nassau County team, to capture the school's second Long Island championship. Last year was the first. Before us, Seaford averaged letting up about 7 points a game. So every team that they faced only scored one touchdown on them. I think there were two teams that scored 2 touchdowns on them, but they handily beat all the teams they played. So I don't like to look ahead. I don't like to jinx it. So I had no idea. I didn't know anything about them until the week before. That's when I decided, well, now we're in that game, so now we have to do our research. Well, long story short, we scored 42 on them. All right, you can see the score up there, which is pretty impressive. In fact, for the season, we scored an average of 40 points in a game, and a lot of that was in the first half because we held back after that. Our margin in victory was about 30 points a game. We outscored our competition 409 points to 124 points. That's pretty impressive. We finished the season as the #1 ranked small school team on Long Island. Yes, ahead of Sable. And the number 3 ranked Class B school in the state, which is pretty neat. Dr. Harney alluded to where we came from. I hate that we always go back to that loss and talk about it, but quite honestly, it's what really has fueled the success for me, for the coaches, and for the athletes. When I took the program over thinking I knew everything, we won 2 games. And here we are 8 years later. We're 23-0 in the last 2 years. We have 3 losses in the last 4 years. It's amazing how failure and adversity can fuel future success. This honestly is why I love to coach. It's why I love to coach football. Because, I'm talking about scores and wins, but it's really not about the wins. It's about the process of putting in that consistent work, dealing with the ups and the downs that happen, whether they happen in practice or in the game or maybe even outside of practice, and staying the course and just wanting to improve every day. And the group of men that you see there embrace that wholeheartedly. We did it as a team. We did it individually. The wins and losses are not what drives us. Definitely doesn't drive me. It's the details that really drive me. When I see athletes accepting their roles, performing their job, and competing with honor, I'm happy. Every single kid over there, every student athlete over there, they had something to do with this win. Just because they might not have been in the spotlight or starting in any of those games, it does not diminish their role. This can't be done individually. You don't just do this with 11 players. You don't just do this with one coach. It is a massive collective effort from a lot of human beings come together. And I'm proud of it. I'm super proud and happy. The things that I like, the stances. Are we stepping with the correct foot? Win or loss, this is stuff that matters to me. Are we making the right reads? How are we handling our emotions? How are we handling adversity throughout the year, whether it's in a game, whether it's in practice? These are life skills that made me who I am, to be honest. I played football in high school, and I wasn't very good. But the sport shaped me and helped me become who I am. Just accepting of roles. I talked about that. The lines of communication. We had it flowing in all directions. Athletes would talk to athletes. Athletes would talk to coaches. Coaches would talk to coaches. And they weren't always pleasant conversations. They were difficult conversations, but everyone had them, and everyone respected each other at the end of it, and it drove us to be who we were. And maybe the thing I'm most proud of is just the sportsmanship. I don't know if you saw any of our games, but you saw just good sportsmanship athletes. I can't tell you how many times our guys were extending a hand to the opponents when they're on the ground to help them up. And to me, that's more important than any win or loss. I see that. I feel like we're doing our job here. So it's the process and the journey that really what matters to me, regardless of where we ended up. This is why I coach. This is why I'm proud of the team. Again, you can't do this alone. Dr. Arnie, Mr. Mullins mentioned, Coach of the Year. That's a nice award, but that's because of all of the coaches I have. That's a reflection of the assistant coaches, who some of them couldn't be here tonight. But this can't be done without them. You need a team. And I have one of the best staffs on Long Island, and I can't thank them enough for what they have done, the time that they've put in, the effort, the sacrifice. And I can't thank my family enough, to be honest, because during football season, they don't see me very much. And when I do come home, I'm in my computer watching film. And they put up with it, and they supported me, and I can't do this without them. So I thank them tremendously. I'm honored to be a small part of this special team, and I'm beyond grateful for you guys, and I'm super happy that you're getting recognized tonight, and congratulations. Great job. Guys, come up to the stage.
Ladies and gentlemen, your 2023 Suffolk County, Long Island, and Rutgers Trophy champions.
Guys, if you want to go home, we definitely understand. Have a great night. Congrats again. Feel free to stay if you'd like, though. Yeah, we have a big budget presentation if you'd like to hear it. Good? All right, guys. Well, thank you so much. We are joined by 5 of our board members tonight. Our superintendent of schools, Dr. Timothy Harney, our assistant superintendent for curriculum and instruction, Mr. Robert Haas, our interim assistant superintendent, Mr. Luis Frontero, our district legal counsel, Mr. Sophia Tarasi, our district clerk, Ms. Suzanne Benetti, and our student rep, Mr. Alexandra Balachos. Just a quick announcements. There are 2 opportunities for the community to participate during the Board of Ed meeting. The first is just before the board takes up its agenda, and the second follows disposition of all agenda items. If you'd like to speak tonight, you must be a resident or an employee of the school district. We ask that you come to the podium. Anyone else, any other person must be voted in by a majority vote of the board. And as always, for the convenience of the community, all meetings are live streamed and posted thereafter to the district website on board docs. And if you'd like to follow the school district on Instagram, it's at BBP School District. If you'd like to follow us on Facebook, at Bayport Blue Point SD. And if you'd like to follow us on X, it's at BBP Schools. And if you want to follow Dr. Harney, it's at BBP Soup. At this time, we'll open it up for any community, new or old business. Not hearing any, we will turn it over to Dr. Harney, followed by our student delegate report. Dr. Harney?
Thank you very much, Mr. Miller. I'll be quick. Just a couple of things. I'd like to thank the Chamber of Commerce, as always. They did a great job with the tree and the menorah lighting, so I'd like to thank them for all their support, as always. Obviously, it's concert season, so we had a number of concerts this week that were really more at the elementary level. We also had the 6th grade. I think tomorrow night we have the 7th grade, and then next week we have the 8th grade, and then we have the jazz, and we have the 2 high schools. So busy time of the year if you want to come by. As I said, there's almost one every single night. I want to thank everyone for taking the survey for the strategic planning. We had over 800 respondents. This Thursday, we're going to do a strategic planning committee. We have roughly about 60 people that will be involved in it, from all of our stakeholders, from staff within the school in all the various units and positions, through community, parent guardians. We've also invited somebody from each of the organizations that kind of work closely with the school, whether it be the PTA, whether it be the BAC, the Chamber of Commerce, any of those organizations, we're inviting somebody from there. We're also going to have a few of our students, so we're looking forward to that. That is on Thursday from 4 to 8. And again, I will send an email out to everybody who is part of that tomorrow. Just a reminder for elementary, it's report card conference, report card parent conferences. So there's 2 half days for this Thursday and Friday. And then just remember, obviously, we enter the holiday season. We go through school next week, and then we return the 2nd. So that 23rd, I think, is the Saturday, and then we go through the 1st, and we come back the 2nd. So I just really want to wish everyone a happy and healthy holiday season, and hopefully you get some time to relax and spend time with your family and friends. All right, with that, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Valichos.
Thank you, Dr. Harney. On Saturday, the BBP Community Cocoa 5K is taking place. My mom and I will be there. At Blue Point Elementary this week, they had a reunification drill where they practiced what to do in case everyone needed to leave the building and get dismissed from somewhere else, and it went very well. Secondly, last Friday, Blue Point tried something new for their wellness period and gave their 4th and 5th graders options on how they wanted to spend their time, such as soccer clinic, jewelry making, STEAM activities, or choose your own activity. Thank you to Coach Campisi and some of his soccer team for working and playing with our students. At the high school, congratulations to Sophia McGinnis for traveling to Portland, Oregon to compete in the Nike Cross Nationals. That's very cool. Congratulations again to the football team and Coach Zafonte. BBP Enterprise Club is selling holiday ornaments, so put your orders in. Those are very popular. Senior casuals and baby photos, I think might be too late for that, actually, that they're due today. But send them to Mr. Salino if you have not. Operation Holiday Cheer is underway. We're collecting cash and gift cards for those in need until this Thursday. For people in our community, Target gift cards are preferred if you're doing gift card route. Stage crew for the musical Cinderella starts this week. And at the middle school, the Robo Phantom's first robotics teams, 9556 and 56530, recently collected over $1,000 in donations for a Bronx classroom of 4 to 6-year-olds. So, thank you.
Thank you so much. At this time, we will turn it over to Mr. Fronterio for our first budget presentation of the year. He has promised to keep it under 10 minutes.
It's on? Yes, it is. Yeah, all day everyone's asked me how long it's going to take. And so I said 15 minutes. And then I'd see Mr. Haas about an hour later. He'd say, I'll give you 14 minutes. And Dr. Harney said, I'll give you 13 minutes. And so right now it should be, welcome to Budget Workshop number 1. Thank you and good night. But actually, I'm going to actually take you through it. I know. So I shouldn't be wasting any of time. Okay, so the overview of the process and the plan. We have our calendar and time frames, our elements of a rollover budget, preparation to date, and there's been a lot of that, and things we need to know. Things we know so far. This is the agenda. I promise to cover every topic on here, in some in more great detail than others. District. It's going to go on the website. Of course it is. Yes, absolutely, which will be. District goals are always part of every presentation. Of course, this is what drives us every day to make sure that the BPP experience for all of our students is absolutely as wonderful as it can possibly be. And we certainly put a lot of effort into that. That's our mission and our goal. That's why we're here. So here is the important time frames, our budget development calendar. As you can see, the arrow pointing to tonight is December 12th, and it's basically an overview of the process. As you can see, there are a number of meetings. Every one of them will have a presentation. January promises to be very interesting because we should know our tax cap information, hopefully, and our growth number and so forth that I need for the calculation, and hopefully a state budget. We'll start to get some information about that. So, but hopefully I'll have information by the 9th. If I don't, there'll be more on the 23rd. But perhaps it can be 2 separate presentations with enough information that it doesn't overload. February 6th and February 27th, March 12th, March 26th, I'll be covering the detailed budget and giving you some background on that. Every board should at least see it once in the process, and that will be your golden opportunity to enjoy seeing all of those numbers. April 16th is going to be the budget hearing. I'm sorry, the budget adoption. It has to be on the 16th for a May 21st vote. We are closed on April 23rd, which is the absolute date that it has to be done, and so we have to do it by the 16th. May 7th, between May 7th and May 14th is the budget hearing, a requirement by law. We can't change the budget anymore at that point in time. It's been adopted and we're ready to roll. But between May 7th and May 14th, every school district in the state has to have a budget hearing. We just so happen to have May 7th as a board meeting date, and it works out perfectly for our budget hearing. This again is our development. The action plan, much of this stuff has already been, is going strong in the business office. October, I met with, been already meeting, had 2 meetings with the Budget Advisory Committee. All of the information that the principals need and the administrators with budgetary responsibility have worked through their worksheets and providing me with that information. It's all being loaded into my work copy of the 24-25 budget. We're very far along in that. I've already added salaries for next year and so forth, so we're really moving ahead. And that'll happen again through January. I should have a full draft. And then, of course, in the January meetings, the February meetings, March meetings, you'll get to see detail. Remember that we will, in January, we'll have more information about tax cap, which is really a very important piece of the puzzle. And again, April will be the adoption, May the hearing. In terms of what we currently have, in terms of a budget that's being developed, it's everything we know about the district. It's all there, fully loaded, and you know, wherever we may have a contract that's out that we're going to be negotiating. There are funds in there for settlement. I've had to make estimates on the health insurance increase for from January of 25 to June of 25. Right now, I'm looking at 10%. I probably will have to go back to that when we're actually shaving the budget down to get it to a more acceptable level. Everything we know about the district in terms of debt service and FICA and all the new information is being factored in. I will touch on all of those things very briefly as you run through this. Did I turn it off? The battery died? Oh, okay. Now it should work. Thank you. No, it doesn't work. Okay. Now let's skip a couple of them. Okay, and then of course this is the other piece of it, which is you know, special ed placements, transportation contracts, all of those things again figured into this rollover budget. Fully loaded. Our athletics programs, our robust music and arts programs, all there. In terms of things that might come up during 24-25 budget development, we might talk about enrollment considerations, special ed and support services, transportation if we're going to do anything more with our safety zones, the pre-K program, transfer to capital considerations. Right now I'd like to add a little bit more to that, but it may end up being taken back if depending upon how much the budget is increasing and where our goal is in terms of acceptable budget-to-budget increases. Retirement incentives and reduction in appropriated reserves used to balance the budget. This is a history I'd like to be able to show. You don't know where you're going if you don't know where you've been, and you can see pretty much where our budget-to-budget increases have been and tax levy increases. As you can see, the numbers in parentheses were the tax levy limits, and you can see where the board has actually adopted slightly less than that, again, being concerned with being able to make sure that taxes are, you know, spread out perfectly. Here's the an average of the 14 years. I think pretty impressive in terms of where we have been and what we've done in terms of those CPI and increased costs. Pretty much have held it down 2.36 on the budget and 2.84 on the tax levy. Again, as we go through the process, right now in the left-hand side of this voter-approved budget, you see the general support, which is all the 1000 series budget codes, instruction, all the 2000 series budget codes, budget transportation, pupil transportation 5,000, and debt service 9,000. As you can see, this budget right now is broken down to a summary. This is our current approved budget, and at some point we will have a 24-25 juxtaposed to that and showing the dollar increases and percent increases as part of the discussion. 2.5, it's actually more than 4 right now at the moment, but we will be working towards a particular number that everyone is comfortable with. That's on the expense side. On the revenue side, we will be, again, tax levies are the largest source, followed by state aid, all other revenues and appropriated fund balances and transfer reserves. Based on the reduction in our fund balance, we're going to be looking to I'll be appropriating less reserves and less appropriated fund balance. That will impact, unless we see some great change in state aid, which is not necessarily anticipated, but we just still don't know that fact. That will help us, but certainly we might need to look at, program or in things that we might have to change to be able to get to a finish line, which is an acceptable tax levy increase, and where we have used less appropriated fund balance and transfer to reserves. It'll be a balancing act. Budget has to be in balance, no matter how you slice it. So whatever we decide to do on the expenditure side, it has to add up on the revenue side as well. Ultimately, this puzzle will end up with a perfect square between tax levy, reserves, and revenues, appropriated fund balance, and state aid. We'll get there for sure. Things we know already in terms of teachers' retirement, employees' retirement, workers' compensation, health insurance, FICA, debt service, and transfer to capital are all being incorporated into this first draft. As you can see, in terms of TRS, the employer contribution rate, that's the ECR, is been pretty consistent over the number of years, and ultimately that 9.76 I will apply to all salaries being paid this year in the professional staff, and that will be budgeted for 24-25. Somewhere about 3.3 million is about where the number falls out. In terms of employees' retirement system, which is all of our classified staff, custodials, clericals, etc., they're in this particular system. Again, their employer contribution rate's been pretty consistent over the years. I can happy to report that for the most part, most of our employees who are covered by this retirement system are in Tier 6, and that has the lowest contribution rate at about 8.2%. So we're seeing that pretty consistently. The budget-to-budget increases have stayed pretty closely to about $1 million, and that's been working just fine. In terms of workers' compensation, which we are self-insured, our numbers in terms of the budget and expenditures have been very closely aligned, and work very closely right now on budgeting $550 for workers' compensation. In terms of health insurance, this chart shows health insurance is determined on an annual basis, so they run a calendar year, and if you look at this particular chart, it's showing the rates that were January 1 of 23 to December 31st of 23. December 31st is right around the corner, and on January 1 of 2024, the new rates take effect for both individual and family. The dollar increases are shown here, about 7.48. That's a little bit more reasonable than it was last year, which were more like 11 and 12%. It's very kind of hard to predict, so we have to see. Now, where I have to make a prediction is in the next slide, because I know half the rate for 24-25, because we're on a fiscal year, not a calendar year. So I know the rates for July 1 of 24 to December 31st of 24, and I have to guess about January 1 of 25 to June 30 of 25. Right now, I'm using a higher percentage of about 10%. As we go back through the budget to try to get it down in a particular area, I will definitely be looking at that percentage. Now, again, it's not a perfect science. And remember, we spent almost $80 million, except for $1 million of it. So, I mean, that is really sharp budgeting, and I'll try to make as many miracles as I can. But this is where we stand at the moment in terms of total projected costs for anybody in that particular system. FICA, we're controlled by the federal government in that regard. The FICA max went up to $168,600, and we will follow suit. Again, probably about another $3.3 million budget item. In terms of debt service, we have our principal and interest on bonds. They're very schedulized. This is the easiest part of developing this budget, because I just go to the schedules and know what I have to do in a particular fiscal year. What's new, though, is the energy performance contract. For the first time now, we're adding the principal on this new energy performance contract. In last year, for this year, we knew what the interest was going to be, but not necessarily, we didn't know ultimately what the principal was going to be. So now that's being added in. And again, on the go forward, that will not be adding to the budget. That will just be part of what we have to pay each year, and it's fairly standard in terms of the payments from one year to the next. And then, of course, I had to increase the tax anticipation note interest expense. I brought it up right now, projected to 450. I'm probably going to bring that back a little bit in terms of ultimately where the budget falls out. But in terms of the interest rates, I bet it was better matched this year than it was the year before, because we had about 65,000 budgeted, because at that point in time, we didn't see interest rates going through the roof, which they did. So we had an expense of about $400,000 on that TAN last year, which is the year we ended, 22-23. So I raised it this year, and we pretty much came a lot closer to what the interest fell out at about borrowing $17.5 million. So we're pretty good in that regard. Now I'm bringing it up. I might have to ratchet back a little bit because I can't fix it all in one or two budget years. In terms of our capital projects and so forth, we have our transfer to capital of $500,000, which is a very important piece of our budget. And we will be looking to see what we can do. Can we increase it? Can we decrease it? Can we hold it steady? I wouldn't recommend decreasing it. It's tough to get in the budget. Now that it's there, we should hold on to it as much as we possibly can. And obviously, we have projects that are going to be in the works that are up in the state now, looking for various approvals so we can move forward. And again, those projects will generate building aid. This is just a summary of if we change the budget either up or down, how that impacts on the percentage increase and so forth. It's just a yardstick to give you an idea. Looking forward to February 6th, presentation through March. The proposed budget for 24-25 will be provided in some detail that you'll get a chance to see following. It follows the uniform system of accounts for New York State school districts. And I have a sample slide, which I think you've had a chance to see. I show the budget function, which is again out of the uniform system of accounts, or the description, the adopted budget for 22-23, the actual expenditures for 22-23, our adopted budget for 23-24, and the comparison to the proposed budget of 24-25, dollar increase, percentage increase, and most importantly, the comments. Because that gives you details about FTE, who the body's there, what that money is spent doing, and so forth. And that gives you and again, as I run through all of those functions, and I'll do it over 4 presentations, the board should always see that at least once during this whole budget development process, at least once a year. January 9th, hopefully we see something about either state aid or the cap that we know enough about that I can make a presentation. It would be great if I could just do the presentation on the tax cap on the 9th, and then on the 23rd factor in the state budget. But it may not work as we plan, because you can plan and God laughs. So who knows what will happen, but hopefully we'll have something for the 9th, and if not, it'll all be loaded into the 23rd presentation. Any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Fontario. Any trustees with any questions? Any community members? Any questions about the budget? Thank you so much, sir. Appreciate your time.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Moving on to the consent agenda, are there any items the board would like removed from the consent agenda and placed on the regular agenda? Not hearing any, can I have a motion to approve consent agenda items H, I, J, K, L, M, and N? Mr. Johnson, second. Ms. Pignataro, any discussion? Not hearing any, all in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Moving on, we have 3 regular agenda items tonight. Can I have a motion to approve the first reading of policies 1420, complaints about curricula or instructional materials, 5405, student fitness and nutrition, 5605, student voter registration and pre-registration, 9260, conditional appointments of staff, 9415, workplace violence prevention, and 9550, expression of breast milk in the workplace. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Ms. Pignataro, second. Mr. Johnson, any discussion? Just want to point our attention to, as I mentioned at the Board Ed meeting October 24th, we asked the policy committee to review the policy 1420, and it was as it pertained to library books and the materials. The policy committee had met 3 occasions to discuss this part of the policy. The committee determined that it should combine policy 4510 and 1420 because of their duplicate language. We took the beginning of policy 4510 and added it to policy 1420. It's the exact same language. As mentioned, the focus of the policy committee was not to review the curriculum portion of the policy, but to focus on the challenge library book materials. We'd like to come back as a policy committee and talk about the curriculum portion at a future date. But just so everyone is aware, the proposed steps for challenging a library book or materials would be the following. If a person has a complaint concerning a library book, availability, other library materials in the school library, the complainant must make a complaint in writing to the building principal, citing their objection. When the person who has a complaint concerning a library book's availability in the school library, the building principal shall hold an informal meeting with the complainant. At this meeting, the complainant will be asked to make clear their objections to the material. The librarian will be asked to explain the educational value of that material as well. If the complaint is not resolved informally, the complainant may file a formal written complaint with the Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum and Instruction. If the complaint is still not resolved with the Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum and Instruction, the complainant may file a formal written complaint with the Superintendent of Schools on a form provided for this purpose. That is very similar to the other process in the curriculum. These will be the big changes going forward. Upon receiving a formal written complaint, the Superintendent of Schools will designate members from the Instructional Council, along with 3 parents and guardians from the building where the challenged material is housed, selected at random on a voluntary basis. 3 students from the building selected at random on a voluntary basis if the challenge was made from the high school. The Library Review Committee, as well as stakeholders of the school district as deemed appropriate for the specific situation to investigate and judge the challenge materials. The complainant will be afforded the opportunity to meet with the Library Review Committee to further articulate their position. However, they will not serve as part of the Library Review Committee. They will not have a vote in determining the final recommendation. The committee will read and examine the challenge materials, consider the specific objections to the materials voiced by the complainant, weigh the values and faults of the materials as a whole, consider oral presentations made to the committee, if any. Where appropriate, solicit advice or opinions from other school districts, faculty, case law, legal opinions, and/or relevant professional organizations such as the American Library Association, the National Council of Teachers of English, and the National Council of Social Studies Teachers. And if the issue is still not resolved, they will provide a report to the superintendent of schools containing its recommendations, and the superintendent will make their determination. If the superintendent, after reviewing the report of the committee, makes a decision and the complaint is still not satisfied, very similar to what happened with the last book challenge. If the complaint is not satisfied with the superintendent of the school's decision, they may refer the complaint to the Board of Education in writing no later than 10 business days after receipt from the superintendent of schools' decision. If such request is made, the superintendent of schools will deliver a copy of their decision and the committee's report to the Board of Education for its consideration. As has been done in the past, the final decision will be made with the Board of Education. So I know one question that has come up. What would happen if a parent would prefer, and this we'll have Dr. Arnie answer this, what would happen if a parent would prefer their child not be able to check out a library book? Is there a procedure or could there be one put in place?
If I'm understanding the question, yeah, it would be something that we would have to look at and put a procedure in place for, but I could have Mr. Haas look at that with various staff members. Now, I'm assuming it would require some form of letter or something to the building, but I don't want to speak for them, but that would be something probably we would have to look at.
All right. Any other questions, comments about any of the policies from trustees? All in favor? All in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Moving on to the next item on the regular agenda. Can I have a motion to accept the change from the Wellness Committee, now to be known as the Fitness and Nutrition Committee? Mrs. Cerrone, second by Ms. Pignataro. Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Can I have a motion to gratefully accept from anonymous local business $250 for a lunch balance for a student in need? Ms. Cerrone, second by Mr. Johnson. As always, thank you very much. We appreciate this person wanting to be anonymous, but we always like to thank the people if we can, but we thank you so much for reaching out and helping students in our school district. All in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. At this time, we'll open it up to the community for any new business. Not hearing any, we will go to the trustees for any new business. Just want to say, hope everyone has a great holiday. Thank you so much. Appreciate your time. Can I have a motion to adjourn? Ms. Cerrone, as always, Mr. Krug, all in favor? Opposed? Thank you guys so much. Have a great holiday. We'll see you in January.